how to attract better prospects. There are multiple things you need to know in terms of the best ways and the best practices of attracting the right prospects for your business. What it really boils down to is a series of steps you need to take to refine your brand, refine your proposition, and find the right places where your customers hang out. So let's dive in deeper and review all the important steps you need to take in order to really nail it down for the long run, especially as 2021 is starting real soon. Number one, start with the buyer persona. The buyer persona is the definition of your ideal prospective customer. It's really important to nail this down as best as possible in as many details as possible so you really have the best idea of who your ideal customer is. Now, lots of people think they know who their top customer is, and they say, well, they're wealthy, they're successful, they work as executives, yada yada yada. That's not enough. Unless you have a real buyer persona definition, you're going to be clueless, your messaging is going to be random and not really well detailed. And at the end of the day, this isn't going to be the most successful thing for your business. So starting with a buyer persona that goes as deep as demographics, age, location, career, job, annual revenue, like as much as possible, is going to give you the pain points of your ideal customer, what they're struggling with in particular, what types of challenges they're having, what types of objections they would have during a call. So you would have a much better idea of who your ideal customer is. And if you're looking for the right prospects, this means that you would be able to define them in the best possible manner and find ways to unlock opportunities to start working with them. Number two, confirm your product market fit. Whatever you're offering, once you have the definition of your ideal customer, make sure that there is a product market fit for your offering. Product market fit means that whatever you're selling actually has a merit within the context of your ideal customer. Now, why is this so important? Well, because unless there is a product market fit, you may have a great solution, but nobody would be interested in buying this solution, right? So if you're selling something that's way out of scope, way out of price, that doesn't really solve a problem worth paying for, or anything along those lines, you wouldn't be successful at the end of the day. So nailing this down, again, is something extremely important. Now, of course, whatever you're trying to do, you need to go through the entire process of validation, of speaking with prospective customers, of trying to do some price gouging and a bunch of other things in order to make sure that whatever you're doing as a business, as a pricing, as packaging, or so forth, makes sense. But right now, if you are realigning the target audience, you still need to go through the same exercise and make sure that there is a product market fit. So again, try to figure out if your ideal customer is still going to be willing to pay and is still going to receive the same perks that you have established and you have planned for the type of solution that you're offering. Number three is brand yourself right. Why is this one so important? Well, you can't attract the right prospects unless you have branded yourself the right way. Now, I can't stress this enough. If you're trying to be the person who's building websites, the person who's selling SEO packages, the person who is cleaning houses or whatever it is, this is not going to be narrow enough to build a brand that people are going to relate with. Because once again, you go to a gym and you see a number of different trainers. Who are you going to start working with? Best case scenario is going to be a hit or miss until you nail this down, or you're going to review them and see what their personality is, what their achievements are, what their goals are, what they aspire of doing, and so on. To give you a better example, at my gym there are multiple trainers. Each of them specializes in something else. Some are more easygoing, some are more hardcore, some are more into gymnastics, either into weightlifting or mobility or aerobics or something like that, right? So finding the right person is completely reliant on whatever their brand is, their perception of life, their best practices, and so forth. So you're one of many as well. Make sure that you build a type of brand that really explains what your product offering is, really explains why exactly you're doing this, really gives a good enough reason for people to start working with you. So again, super important, can't stress this enough. Make sure you do this right. Rebrand yourself, check out your website, your social media profiles, your bio, your everything else, so that you give the right type of messaging whenever you need to work with those people. Number 4, be a T-shaped expert. Now, whenever we are talking about specialization versus generalization, one of the things that I really love as a concept is the T-shaped expert. Now, whenever you start in your career, normally you are a generalist, right? You start at whatever it is, be it IT or marketing or management or so on. Like, you have a very little understanding of the entire ecosystem, and you know a little bit of everything, right? You start with IT, you know, there are computers and they process information, there are operating systems, and they do a bunch of other things, and there's programming that does some stuff for the computer and whatnot. So having all that as information, of course, is the core essential principle to understand what the entire ecosystem is about. And that's what universities are trying to prepare you for as well. Just giving you a little bit of information for everything so that you can start to specialize after. So once you land the job, or once you spend a year at the job or so, you start to specialize, right? You know a tiny little bit of lots of different things, and then you need to jump to the point where you are capable of improving dramatically in a given area. For example, it could be web development, and then in PHP development, and then in performance working in PHP development, and so forth. Like, you niche down, you specialize, right? So being this type of T-shaped expert is important. Now, as your career gradually grows, you're transitioning into multiple different steps, but that doesn't need to scare you right now. What you need to care about is being the T-shaped expert. Make sure that people are fully aware of the fact that you understand the ecosystem, you understand the semantics of the business environment, and at the same time, you do possess the specific perks required for the job. Why is this so important? Because if you're just a generalist, you wouldn't really be employable, right? You would need to be distinctive in a sense of being unique enough, in being an expert enough in a given sense in order to be successful. So you can be a generalist. But at the same time, if you're merely an expert in one specific field, in one particular vertical, that's also not going to be enough, because you wouldn't be capable enough of solving specific problems unless you understand the full context, unless you understand the bigger picture, right? So that's why you need to be a T-shaped expert. Number 5, find where your ideal prospects hang out. This is one of the hardest things of them all. Again, it's really true in some ecosystems, but most of the time it isn't. If you just want to work with executives, right? Executives don't hang out anywhere. You know, some of them play golf, some of them do mountain hiking, some of them do bar hopping, some of them do other stuff, because it's a generic position enough. It doesn't require the attendance of a specific club, even though sometimes they do specific masterminds or specific communities like Youth Entrepreneur Council, which I also participate at, but it's generic enough. If you have real estate agents, for example, as your target audience, it's kind of a hit or miss. Again, some are more dynamic and do some other stuff, but of course most of them attend different real estate chambers or real estate broker conferences or other things like that. But really, try to figure out where they hang out. Try to figure out if there are specific, say, Facebook groups or LinkedIn communities or something else. Try to find the types of websites they read. Some of them may read, specific media like Forbes or Huffington Post. Some of them may have small local sources that they read. It's really important. Try to find out if they go to specific places. Like, are they hipsters? Are they, more old school redneck type of people? Like, that really depends. And knowing that is really going to help you focus and position your efforts on the right places to promote, the right places to connect with them. Which leads me to step number 6, which is quadruple down on 1 to 3 channels that you know are working. Once again, once you understand your ideal prospect target audience, and once you understand where they hang out, do whatever you can, and that's why I say quadruple down, not just double down, quadruple down on targeting them, finding them, and making sure that things work. The reason that's super important is because it's going to be real hard to find and identify your real audience, at least for most people, and making sure you find a channel that works and exploiting this channel as best as possible is essentially your best bet to scale down production and reach down more and more prospective customers. For example, what we found for one of our specific audiences is through our network and through consulting and through talking to lots of different people, we found a conference where a good percentage of our ideal prospective customers hang out. It's a very niche conference. It's really hard to find them otherwise unless you're within the circles, and they do have different packages for sponsorships, for webinars, and for other communities. Now, most of those packages cost like 20 grand each or even more. They need to be combined. So it's not an easy feat, or it's not something that's super cheap, but it's extremely important for us to just reach out our target audience, which is why we are embracing the opportunity. So that's kind of one of the things I'm talking about. You don't have to put all of your eggs in a single basket, but at the same time, make sure that whenever something works, you double down, triple down, quadruple down, so it really works. If there's a partnership that works out really well, someone who's sending you the best leads possible, just make sure you work with them, send them referrals, send them leads, try to work on webinar opportunities or something else so that you're, again, as successful as possible. Number 7 is whenever you scale this channel, be it PPC or webinars or sponsored emails or conference or anything like that, and leads start piling up, you still can't tell the good leads from the bad leads, which is why you need to vet them ASAP. Try to figure out a way to tell a good lead from a bad lead. There's a specific type of customers that the sales community calls them tire kickers, and you know what I'm talking about, right? People who are just browsing around, people who are just asking for opportunities, people who are just submitting the same RFP to 30 different businesses or agencies or so forth. There are lots of those people. Now, at first, unless you really have a great business model, and unless you really have recurring revenue, you would still have to try hard for some of those opportunities, which is clear. But in the grand scheme of things, you don't have to do that. In the grand scheme of things, you need to vet these people right after. Make sure you understand the principles of what tire kickers look like and work like, and just really politely tell them, I'm sorry, we are only working on serious opportunities because we really care about our customers, and we really want to spend the most time as possible with customers that really care about their business and really know what they're after, right? Which is why, of course, you need to find ways to ask them the right questions or send them the right forms or something else in order to validate whether they're a tire kicker or are they the right prospect that you're looking for, right? So super important. Number 7, again, vet them ASAP and make sure you spend the most time as long as possible on the right leads. Number 8 is prepare starter decks and blueprints. Now, once you start with your prospective customer, once you reach to the point where you have a warm lead and you need to take them further down the sales funnel, make them a sales qualified lead, and actually start nurturing them and start bringing them closer to closing the deal, prepare the right type of information in order to successfully transition from the potentially great prospect to a potentially great customer and just bring them down the funnel. Now, what I'm talking about, make sure you have your product offering described in a way that makes sense, in a way that positions you in the best possible manner, in the way that represents your skills and your opportunities and your achievements and everything else in the best possible manner. What I'm saying is prepare, it may be several decks, not just one, but like the types of services you offer, tailored to this industry, especially if you have narrowed down properly for your target audience, with some case studies, with something else, with pricing, of course, with packages, so that you can send that right away or hop on a call or hop on a video call or something and just present this information to your customers. First of all, it's going to save you a lot of time. If you're unsure about the prospect, you're going to save some time and just send them the deck and say, hey, thanks a lot for reaching out. Really appreciate that. Just to make sure we are on the same page, let me save you some time by sending you a deck with what exactly we're doing here. We are super transparent. I want to make sure that we are speaking the right language, that we're looking into the same direction, whatever you pick. Yeah, just tell them that's what we're doing, that's how we do that, that's some rough pricing offers. Of course, if this is within the realm of what you imagine, that's great. The reason it's really important to do that is giving us as much context as possible is important, and sometimes you really can't tell tire kickers from other businesses. Now, we get tons of prospect requests on our end, and most of them are great people, but some of them just don't have the budget. So without wanting to insult them, even if they came through a landing page with pricing on it, like cost per hour, big capital letters, and then pricing plans and so forth. Some of those people literally just scroll down, fill out the form with a couple sentences, exchanging couple emails, then hopping on a call, then asking for an estimate or a ballpark, and like turns out they literally haven't paid any attention whatsoever on the pricing of the website. We see that really frequently, and sometimes even if we send them some of those validation decks like the starter decks and whatnot, even if we send that, they still don't browse it. But at least after that we say, well, what's happening here is you came through a landing page on our website that has our pricing in there, and we also sent a deck that has our pricing in there, and eventually now you're seeing that it's way out of your price zone. So essentially, if you had paid any attention whatsoever, we may have saved some time for both parties and avoided some embarrassment, or however you want to phrase all of that. Just as you move them down this specific funnel that I'm talking about, having those starter decks and blueprints would help you to just lead them down the funnel and explain them how the process works. You can prepare a white paper and say, hey, like for example, I do SEO. In order to start, what I need is, here's one page in our PDF. We need access to Google Search Console, we need access to Google Analytics, we need access to this. What we're going to do, if you don't have Google Search Console, for example, we're going to sign up one for you and connect it to Analytics because it's important for your business, regardless of whether we work together or not. It's just important for your business. If you have access, what we're going to do, having access to all that, is perform an analysis of the past 3 months and then, do something else. Once this is done, we are going to connect you to our, SEMrush account or Ahrefs, and we're going to do some competitor analysis and then this. Or also send us a list of your top 5 competitors so that we can run content gap research and blah, 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 blah. Just tell them, walk them down through what you need from them, why you need it, why it's important, how you're going to use it, and what's the rough plan over the next few weeks or few months. Again, it's going to save you some time. It's going to make the sales process easier and less painful, and save you a lot of time for just repeating yourself over and over and over again. And again, this is going to make the process more useful for the right prospects, because once again, if you're looking for the best prospects, which normally is people who are willing to pay for your services, capable of paying for your services, actually able to understand the value proposition and so forth, you want to impress them. You want to show them that you're also serious and you're reliable and everything else to keep them for as long as possible. So yeah, make sure you have those starter decks and blueprints to just explain them everything, or maybe a drive folder with documents they have to fill out just to help them also answer some of their questions in the best possible manner before you actually connect on a deeper level. Number 9, prepare case studies and validation for your websites, for your social, or so forth. If you target your ideal customers, you have to niche down as much as possible in order to understand what exactly they do, what exactly they need, industry, niche, and so on. So target and try to produce and generate and ask for a few case studies and validation testimonials and remarks and feedback and whatever be it, so that you squeeze the right information from the customers you care about now, and you convey this information in a way that's responding to what your customers are asking for, right? Validation is really important. Even if you find where your best customers are hanging out, even if you figure out how to attract them to your website, even if they come to your website, even if they like your packages, unless you have some proof, unless you have some validation that makes sense, unless you have any of that, you're not going to be able to convert them. You're not going to be able to receive their email or ask them to schedule a call or whatever it is. So validation is super important. Validation comes in the form of case studies, of reviews, of testimonials, of some customer feedback, feedback videos, press features, conference talks, all that stuff. So try to gather as much of this as possible, because this type of trust is building credibility and is increasing the odds of customers actually reaching out to you, at least the right type of customer. Number 10 is be brutally honest from the get-go. Once again, it's all about finding the right prospects. The right prospects, again, are loyal and willing to pay, to stay with you for a continuous period of time and so forth. So you need to be brutally honest with them and build this trust through this type of honesty. This means that every single prospect, if they are on the right customer audience for you, you need to be honest. Like, I'm sorry, I'm only working with this industry now, or I'm sorry, I can't commit to your project right now for whatever reason, or I'm sorry, this package is just too small for me. We are looking for a different type of service that we serve better, right? Same goes for your ideal customers. If you tell them more or less the same thing right away, they say, well, that's great. We're actually this type of customer. We are actually within this industry. That's actually exactly what we are doing. And that's kind of how it works. Like, we have been rebranding ourselves to a retainers company for years now, even though like we build WordPress websites more or less, but we don't. And whenever I hop on a sales call or anything, I say, well, the way we work is 93% of our business is comprised of retainers, meaning that we are most efficient in working on a month-to-month basis with our clients. We build entire teams. This is more efficient. We can employ 6 to 12 people for a given project, even if it's a 50-hour a month or a 100-hour a month project. We don't care. It's just something that we find important to deliver business value, right? So if someone comes and they say, well, I only need a developer to lease a developer for a project, we're not a good fit. We're going to be more expensive. We are going to introduce project management on top and QA on top, and actually think of the business. If that's not what the client is looking for, well, obviously there is a mismatch. We can wrap this up right away. But if the client is fully cognizant of saying, hey, we don't have a tech department, we don't want to hire a project manager, a QA, tech lead, project lead, blah blah blah, 10 other people to just get 100 hours per month done, and we are actually looking for a team that is managing all of that, and we're actually looking for a team that's looking for this partnership and not just getting the job done and escaping and evaporating, just trying to leave some crap and disappear. Well, obviously we have a fit here. So yeah, and the last tip, number 11, is win them for good. Whenever you have a perfect customer, try to do whatever possible to just retain them for as long as possible. Great customers are rare to find because they need to be in a very specific place of their lifetime, in a very specific industry, in a very specific size, in a very specific need, so that they can leverage your services. And they're really hard to find. So try to respect them as best as possible. Figure out ways to keep working with them, because potentially you may be working with them for a very, very long period of time, especially if you have some form of recurring packages. Maybe at some point you can start other product lines or other services and expand them and upsell them. Maybe you can even start other companies doing different things, and you still want to work with this customer audience, but make sure you win them for good. You show them you care, you show them why you see so much sense working with them. Just build the right type of rapport to work with these customers. Again, it's going to be worth it, and just retaining these customers is probably going to be a gold mine for you. So again, don't ignore that. So that's it. That's how to attract better prospects. That's how to build a pipeline of top customers. Again, it starts from defining them, through branding, through the sales pitch, through actually working with them and closing them and working with them. So make sure you refine the entire process and make the most out of it, because again, top customers are rare and hard to find, but if you position yourself better and if you close them, it's all going to be a winning scenario.